I'm Erin Kennedy.
And I'm Lionel Moise. The National Weather Service confirming it was a meteorite that flashed over the sky in the Midwest early this morning. Susanna Song joining us live from Chicago's Museum campus with that story. Good morning, Susanna.
Good morning, Lionel. Imagine a rock the size of a car falling from the sky. Well, that's what many of you saw. A meteor that was traveling about 45,000 miles an hour. It then exploded about 10 miles up into the sky and then fell into the water in Lake Michigan near Wisconsin.
In a rare convergence of elements, a penumbral lunar eclipse, a full snow moon, and a comet will all be on full display in most parts of the world. First up is the eclipse, which will present itself as a darkening of the moon as it passes through the weakest part of the Earth's shadow. Prime viewing is at 4:43 p.m. Pacific Time, and will dissipate until it completes. Comet 45P is next, and although it's been visible through telescopes for weeks now, it will be at its closest point the morning of February 11th. You won't be able to see it with the naked eye, but should see it in the constellation of Hercules through either binoculars or a telescope.
A powerful earthquake in the southern Philippines has killed at least 6 people and injured nearly 100 others. The earthquake measured a magnitude 6.7, according to the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology. It shook the country's southern region late on Friday. The quake's epicenter was close to the city of Surigao at a relatively shallow depth of 11 kilometers. Hundreds of residents fled to safety as buildings were damaged and power supply was cut off. Officials say nearly 100 aftershocks have been felt. Schools have been used as evacuation centers for those affected.
Now, in really rather worrying news, a cleaning robot sent into Japan's Fukushima nuclear plant had to be pulled out from its mission due to technical glitches most likely caused by ultra-high radiation levels. Based on analysis of images from the robot-mounted cameras, the radiation reading inside the number 2 reactor at the number 1 nuclear plant was 650 sieverts an hour. During a similar probe late last month, Tokyo Electric Power Company estimated the radiation in the primary containment vessel to be 530 sieverts an hour. The robot entered the reactor on Thursday for the first time since the March 2011 earthquake and tsunami to inspect and clean a passage before further examinations. Despite the absolutely off-the-charts figures, which can kill a person almost instantly, TEPCO officials insist radiation is not leaking outside of the utility.
In New Zealand, more than 300 whales have died in what's being called one of the country's largest known strandings of whales in years. It happened at the popular holiday destination of Golden Bay. Rescuers tried to help more than 100 whales return to sea, but around half got stuck again. The bay's shallow waters make it difficult for the mammals to get back.
Next tonight here, the major concern near America's tallest dam, a giant hole in the spillway, is growing in size tonight. Here's ABC's Neil Karlinski.
Tonight, officials in California have the nation's tallest dam under a microscope, worried about this massive hole that's formed nearby. The Oroville Dam holds water back from Lake Oroville, now at record levels and in danger of spilling over after a series of storms. The 200-foot-long, 30-foot-deep hole is enormous, dwarfing the engineers who climbed in for a look this week. It eroded through the concrete spillway used to release water and keep the lake from topping its banks.
This is a big deal. We're very concerned that we manage this properly to protect the public down below.
Here's the problem. If the spillway can't release enough water now, officials will have to try a never-before-used emergency spillway.
We're monitoring 24/7. If any changes occur that could result in any kind of danger to the public, we will immediately notify the public.
The Oroville Dam are expected to hit record levels. Right now, water continues to gush over this damaged spillway. Reporter Sean Bennett is in Butte County with more.
What a difference a day makes. Yesterday, we could actually see where the erosion took place, and we could actually see the rest of the spillway. Today, you can't even see it. Now that water rushing right off to the right side of the spillway on top of the actual hillside and those rocks racing down into the river. Now, history will be made at Lake Oroville Dam this weekend, according to officials with the Department of Water Resources. The water level is expected to hit the 900-foot capacity in the early morning hours of either Saturday or Sunday. Now, the DWR officials say it will likely go over the emergency spillway, something that's never happened in the 48-year history of the dam. Now, back in 1997, the water came within a foot, but never actually went over the emergency spillway. DWR officials say crews are working to clear debris ahead of the water spilling over. Now, the hole in the spillway continues to grow. Engineers say they plan to continue using it to lower lake levels.
Geographic data says California will have a mega flood about every 1 to 200 years. So we're overdue, long overdue.
In the San Francisco Bay Area, there are over 350,000 people that live in the 100-year floodplain, and I'm sure the vast majority of them don't realize that they're living in an area that's at risk.
Losses could be over $700 billion, leaving millions homeless. And it's not just rainfall. Coastal flooding could crumble the Bay Area's outdated levees, leaving safe travel and clean water a distant memory.
The Pew Research Center says only a third of Americans say that being truly American means following the Christian faith. The study showed that 32% of Americans say being Christian is very important to national identity. More Republicans were reported to say Christianity is essential to being truly American, while 29% of Democrats agreed.
Could hypnosis settle your problem child?
CBS 2's Suzanne Marquez shows us the trend some say may be going too far.
Your eyes begin to get very tired.
10-year-old Eric Ferrer Alfaro is about to be hypnotized.
And close your eyes when you're ready.
He has ADHD and struggles with focusing in school. His mother doesn't want to medicate him, and so far, nothing else has worked.
I'm hoping for the teacher to not call me anymore.
Everybody calls me Hypno Mom.
Hypnotherapist Lisa Mackenberg says she's hypnotized close to 1,000 children, including her own.
I started hypnotizing the children at 7 months to sleep quickly, calmly, soundly, and deeply all through the night.
She says that she's essentially teaching Eric to hypnotize himself.
Breathe in the word focus. Exhale on the word powerful. When he needs to curb his impulses, all he needs to do is breathe in that power word, and it resets the neurons.
I hope it'll help me because tomorrow I'll have a lot of division and a lot of tests on math.
But not everyone agrees that hypnosis is the answer.
It's a very risky thing to do.
Psychologist Dr. Sanam Hafiz says putting kids in a trance is going too far.
The idea is not to gain control of your child's mind, but it's to teach them what's right, what's appropriate, what's desirable, so they can then have control over their own mind.
That show was so much fun.
For 15-year-old Tyler Reed and his friend, 18-year-old Colin.
I don't think so.
The road to true self began with family. But the journey for these transgender teens also includes exploring medical options to transition.
I really look forward to facial hair and my voice being lower.
Like help close this gap between how I feel inside and how I look on the outside.
And we have some questions.
To do so, families work closely with gender therapists.
You have to tell them what's going on in your head, and a lot of the time you don't even know.
And doctors like Carol Malazzo, who was among the first in the Sacramento area to treat children diagnosed with gender dysphoria, born one sex but identifying as another.
A person's gender identity is pretty much fixed by the time that they're 3 years of age, and there's no way that you can actually change them.
The pediatrician recognized the need for trans youth more than a decade ago, and to date, she has cared for hundreds of young patients.
California is a hotbed for one of the fastest growing crimes in the world, sex trafficking. It's the second largest underground economy in San Diego, pulling in profits of almost $900 million a year. It's a business so big that law enforcement is welcoming the help of private investigators who have one thing in common. They're all former special ops. This team is trained to track,
if we catch them outside,
extract,
get some audio,
and get out without anyone knowing they were there. These are former Navy SEALs, cops, and British Special Forces, now working as private investigators
going to the target
to help rescue victims of sex trafficking.
They're so well trained to blend in on surveillance because you know what they do when they're on the SEAL teams is they basically kidnap people.
Joseph Travers, a former police officer, started Saved in America, bringing in men with special skills. Every night in San Diego County, there's an estimated 2,500 kids who are missing. And the clock is ticking for each one of them because it's a race between those trying to rescue them and those trying to trap them. Tonight's goal for the rescuers, a teenage girl we'll call Kylie. Like 80% of all local sex trafficking victims, she's American.
Copy in position.
Kylie is 15, a year younger than the average age of a girl caught up in trafficking.
We think, from the intelligence we have, they're trying to take her south of the border.
Intelligence taken from the web and revealing her possible whereabouts.
Okay, guys, there's movement in the front window.
Law enforcement called in.
PD's been notified.
The ghosts back out.
10-4 copy.
And Kylie is rescued, one of 26 teenagers in 26 months saved by Saved in America.
The humanitarian aid industry has a sexual assault problem and doesn't seem to be doing anything about it. Lots of industries have the same issue, but the humanitarian
when I go, for example, I die. I swear I cry.
During the day, it's a different scene.